Wonderful people, viewers and subscribers. Wahala. No, they finish you according to the information within our reach here. And the information says it all. Yes, the new appointed HOD of IPOB is having a good time and also first congressional briefing
at the Parliament of the United States of America, with Donald Trump either present or he sent a delegate to be in that. But me, I choose to use that word with Donald Trump in the room. The message is very, very simple and very, very clear. I will not waste most of your time. They say time is money. The clip is very, very out there. In fact, it is trending that this guy by name Mazi Chris Nwogo will be another Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. In fact, they said, according to who predicted, and according to Maga Jesus, they said that guy is going to do wonders more than what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did in the past. That is what they prophesied. And you know me already, you know my faith. So let me not go into that area for now. But let me just allow you to see this clip, and then we'll come back here to discuss more. Please help me to circulate this message, let it go viral. Make sure you are liking, you are sharing, and you are also commenting. Follow us on all our social media handles. Please turn on the notification icon so that we'll be notified each time we go live or we post something new on this channel or any other channel related to Okute Daily Talk or Okulora One Nation. Please, if you don't mind, Ngwa Regade.
If this current regime that's in power in Nigeria today withstands Donald Trump, survives it, the backlash will make the Biafran genocide look like a warm-up act.
We have with us today someone who has risked his life, someone who has been on ground, someone who has actually committed his resources to build schools for children who have been displaced from their homes, somebody who has empowered women to start life again, someone who was to be bought by Nigerian government and he refused. After that, he was maligned and he was threatened. But his work has exposed a lot about Nigerian government and also about those who work in that shadow. So I would like to invite to this podium for our dear brother, and he is former mayor of a small town city in Texas, Blanco. So please welcome to this podium with me, Mark Arnold.
Thank you so much. I have printed copies of my testimony here, fully documented. I want to make sure that everything I say is perfectly factual, so I'm going to rely on my testimony here as I present it. Has all the citations, and I'm happy to provide follow-up. Much of this is eyewitnessed by myself or by my personal contacts all over the country. I've been to Nigeria 16 times since 2010. I've met in depth with two distinguished former presidents, Gowan and Jonathan. I've spent considerable time with the Catholic Cardinal, governors, presidents, senators. I've met with cabinet ministers of this current administration. And I've been all over, from Bukuma to Makoko to Bokos, all through there. So I don't speak just from a keyboard. I speak from boots on the ground. Ngoshe is a small town in the Gwoza local government area. It's in northeast Borno State, which is in the northeast side of Nigeria, and it's right along the mountainous border with Cameroon. The story of Ngoshe is a microcosm of the story of Nigeria. I personally know many of its people, the displaced, the people that are still there, even members of the military that are stationed there, and I talk to them regularly. For a century, up to 2014, this area, Gwoza, was a peaceful Christian region. It had 176 churches. This was a Christian area. The terror in 2014 began in the marketplace. Men rode in on motorcycles, started harassing and killing people. The eyewitnesses there say they were lighter-skinned foreigners, seemingly from North Africa. The first wave. This confirms the wider record of jihadis being imported during that time frame. There's eyewitnesses to back that up. When the main attack came, the terrorists, Boko Haram, actually dressed up in hijabs and approached the military. They welcomed them, and then they pulled off the hijabs and started slaughtering them. The town of Ngoshe had 6 churches. The attackers destroyed every single one and didn't touch any mosque. When a single church was left standing, the men of the village surrounded it with bows and arrows to defend it. The military came in and started killing them. They had been told the Christians were the threat. When they learned the truth, they took off their uniforms en masse and went AWOL and hiked with 2,000 citizens into Cameroon, the military unit there. And the eyewitnesses say if the Nigerian government denies it, Cameroon won't. The military was told the Christians were the threat. Some 100,000 or more Christians from the Gwoza area displaced at the time, scattered across at least 27 camps in 7 states, plus at least 33,000 that went into Cameroon and were able to stay there. At least 8 displacement camps are in Abuja today. That's the capital, holding some 30,000 people. I stumbled into one in 2019. Had no idea what was going on. Now I run free schools in 3 of those camps. Most of the displaced in those camps, at least the ones I serve, are from Gwoza. The UNHCR documented these camps in detail in 2015. In 2020, when I contacted them for help, they deny those camps exist. They're still there. The people are still there. The documented evidence from 2015 is still there. Now they say it never happened. It's not there. The government calls these people criminals, vagrants, beggars, anything but displaced. And they go in and occasionally they bulldoze their camps. They're harassed and they're neglected. They've had to build their own shanties. You're talking widows and orphans, women and children living in shanties next to sewage ditches, some for a decade now. The government denies them. The intentional denial of recognition and aid to displaced in this circumstance legally qualifies as genocide. This government is guilty of genocide, and I can prove it. Yes. You can just walk into one of these camps in Abuja and prove that this government is guilty of genocide legally. Yes. In May of 2024, 10 years after the Gwoza massacre, the Tinubu administration very proudly declared that Boko Haram had been defeated. It was about that time, now Ambassador Rino Omokri begged me to nominate NSA Nuhu Rabadu for the Nobel Prize. I know Rabadu. For defeating Boko Haram. I asked him for proof and he dropped the subject. 2 months later, my documentary team visited Ngoshe in Gwoza with 2 of the displaced from the Abuja camp. From Maiduguri, they had to travel in a military convoy. They had to stop and defuse a roadside IED. What they found in Ngoshe was post-apocalyptic. The community, churches and schools in ruins still. The people living in fear and squalor inside a military cordon. Our team had to leave in 45 minutes because Boko Haram was spotted just a kilometer away. They defeated Boko Haram. Before they left, they met a military chaplain who had built a new church there. Amazing man. More Than Conquerors Church. In October of 2024, 2 months after my team stood inside that church, Boko Haram filmed a recruitment video from Ngoshe. It featured members of that congregation taken while gathering food. An older man was beheaded with dull axe and his head held up while the crowd cheered. Dozens were treated that way. A young girl from the church was sold into sex slavery. Earlier this year, 2026, when support for the refugees still in Cameroon dried up, the Nigerian government told them it was safe to come home and paid them to relocate back to Ngoshe. The government told them it was safe, paid them. 35 days later, on March 3rd, Boko Haram attacked them. Most of the garrison of more than 200 soldiers dropped their guns and ran. Of those who stayed, at least 4 soldiers were beheaded, hundreds of civilians were killed, more than 300 were abducted, including the nieces of an acquaintance of mine. The More Than Conquerors Church was destroyed. 3 days later, the attackers stood in the central mosque of Ngoshe, declared the region conquered, and renamed it for their caliphate. Earlier this month, the Nigerian government announced the dramatic rescue of more than 400 women and children there. In truth, there was no rescue. The captives had been held 3 kilometers from the military base the whole time. A ransom of roughly 6 billion naira, more than $4 million, was paid in U.S. currency. Nearly 10 years of that entire local area government's budget. Handed by the Nigerian government to a designated foreign terrorist organization. I've spoken with the man who brokered these terms. He has terrorists on tape confirming it. Others on the ground confirm it too. The Nigerian government called it a rescue. When the release was announced, my acquaintance went there to look for his nieces. He was told they were not released because they had resisted converting to Islam. Most of the women and children released were not even from Ngoshe. We don't know where they were from. The women were wearing hijabs, forcibly converted as the price of release. An imam has been recruited by Boko Haram specifically to convert the remaining Christians that are still held captive in the mountains. This is Ngoshe. This is Nigeria. The pattern is consistent. The church is burned, the mosques are spared. At every turn, the Nigerian government is either complicit or catastrophically incompetent. It declared an enemy defeated that was a kilometer away and still staging mass beheading videos. It encouraged and paid Christians to return to a kill zone. It handed millions of US dollars cash to a terrorist organization and called it a rescue. It attacks those who defend themselves, abandons its own soldiers, denies its own displaced, and through all of it, it lies to its own people, to the press, to the United States, while paying Washington lobbyists to keep the lie running. Now here's the bigger picture. This is not just religious persecution. It's not just a humanitarian crisis. What's happening in Nigeria is an ongoing Islamic jihad conquest with global ambitions. It must not be filed under international religious freedom, where good causes go to die. This is a vital national security issue. Nigeria is the 6th largest nation on earth, on track to be the 3rd largest by 2050. 1 in 13 humans alive will be Nigerian at that time. It's a top 5 OPEC producer with $1 trillion in minerals. Its trajectory is unstoppable. The only question is who controls it, and whether it carries great good or great evil. This is what you must know. Nigeria is captured by a 220-year-old Fulani caliphate. They project the illusion of secular democracy like a reverse Wakanda to hide its rotten core. The caliphate was the largest pre-colonial empire in Africa, and it is still today the largest enslaver of free Africans in the history of the world. Still doing it. Its founder was a Fulani warlord, Usman Dan Fodio, a blood descendant of Muhammad. His teachings are widely revered and taught today. His grave site's like a mini Mecca, they call it. He founded the caliphate explicitly to be the platform for the Mahdi, the prophesied jihad messiah. That's all through his writings, his teachings, which are still taught and revered today. To purify the platform for the Mahdi, he taught and practiced a virulent doctrine that Muslims who do not submit to their rule and join the jihad must be slaughtered. This is, of course, in addition to Christians and others who stand in the way. That's Dan Fodio's doctrine that's taught today and revered. The colonial British did not conquer the caliphate. They co-opted and rebranded it, partnering with it as their enforcers and deal makers. They called it indirect rule and locked in its control and independence. They armed, supported, and covered for it when it starved some 3 million Nigerians to death, mostly children, during 30 months in 1967 to 1970 for refusing to submit to the caliphate. They ruled through military dictatorship until 1999, when one of those dictators wrote and inflicted a constitution that mentions Sharia in Islamic terms 165 times, not one Christian reference. It ensures the Caliphate North permanent control of political power, money, minerals, the military, and government jobs. That's what Nigeria is today. The same tribe, the same tactics, the same results. What we were seeing today in Nigeria is one unbroken jihad and genocide since 1804, following the methods, the teaching, and the prophecy of the Caliphate's founder. This is the longest running genocide on earth today. In total, up to 6 million killed, 10 million enslaved, and 25 million displaced since it began, unbroken. By my own calculation, it's drawn from the historic record. The ruling elite is stronger and more in control now than ever. They continue to purify Nigeria to be the Mahdi's platform, and they are on the verge of completely hijacking the nation's trajectory. Today, the man rewriting Nigeria's national curriculum, every subject, every grade level, is literally the top scholar for the Boko Haram philosophy. He calls his work intellectual jihad. He controls the classrooms of some 50 million Nigerian children today. That's who's in charge of the classroom. Literally the top scholar for the Boko Haram philosophy, intellectual jihad, appointed by President Tinubu. The government recently signed a military training deal with Turkey, which works through an organization called Sadat. The group's founder said he founded this entity to prepare for the Mahdi, and they recruit their trainers from active ISIS fighters in Syria. That's who's training the Nigerian military. Tinubu did that as well. The 8 or more black flag groups across the Middle Belt and North now pulling as much as $3 billion a year through organized crime. Blood minerals sold to China, mass abduction for ransom, and the slave trade, heroin, trafficking, and extortion. $3 billion a year, just like Mohammed raided the camel caravans to fund the jihad. That's what banditry is. Today, as many as 10 to 12 million displaced persons have as much as a 50 to 60% chance of being radicalized without intervention. Another 10 to 15 million are being raised as al-Majiri. Those are boys who are given to the imam to be raised in the madrasas in the north, fed pure jihad theology, fed Dan Fodio. And foreign fighters continue to flood in through open door borders. Think about that. This is a ticking time bomb. To reiterate, the mass of al-Majiri, displaced and incoming foreigners, numbering 20 million or more total, with their classrooms controlled by literally the top scholar of Boko Haram, and their military being trained by seasoned ISIS fighters to prepare for the Mahdi, they are building a massive radical jihad army on an unprecedented scale. That's happening in Nigeria as we speak. The Nigerian government is fully captured. Its structure, people, and politics, and it is irredeemable. Its corrupt electoral system is mostly a contest over who can loot the most while carrying the caliphate's water. It cannot and will not stop this 220-year jihad purification project. Lately, it has pivoted hard to China. Chinese investment in 2025 leapt to $24.6 billion for the year. That's a 13-fold jump over 2024, the largest of any nation. Beijing elevated Nigeria to its top partnership tier, and Nigerian banks now settle directly in yuan, all of which make it effectively immune to U.S. sanctions. The jihad has already drawn American blood on American soil. The Old Dominion University shooter or attacker who killed Lieutenant Brandon Shaw made his contact with ISIS in Nigeria. I am concerned that our president is surrounded by deeply conflicted advisors and a highly paid army of lobbyists intent on ensuring this corrupt regime remains in power. It is interesting to note that so far, supposedly coordinated with the Nigerian government, the U.S. has only struck jihad factions that are not loyal to the caliphate. Here's how we stop it. 1, pursue genocide charges against the leaders of this administration. Their deliberate denial of recognition and aid to millions of displaced meets the legal definition of genocide and is provable. Treat them like the genocidal tyrants that they are. 2, investigate and move to designate the Sokoto Caliphate as a terrorist organization. H.R. 7457's foreign terrorist organization designation for Fulani militias and Miyadi Allah is the first step. The Sultan of Sokoto, ruler of the Caliphate, is the apex Fulani leader and chairman of Miyadi Allah. 3, lead an international census of the displaced with evidentiary interviews, their eyewitnesses genocide, and rush them aid. 4, keep bombing the jihadis, not just ISIS, every black flag group, the Fulani militias included. And 5, secure a free and fair election in 2027 with a referendum on a new constitution that bans Sharia and guarantees self-determination, letting the nations of Nigeria choose their own form of government and their own boundaries in peace. The people can build a great nation if we let them. When we do, we won't just secure our most important ally in a dark part of the world. We'll keep the fastest growing nation on earth from becoming a launch pad for global jihad, which is exactly where it's headed today. And let me say one more thing. If this current regime that's in power in Nigeria today withstands Donald Trump, survives it, the backlash will make the Biafran genocide look like a warm-up act. They've already said that anybody that said the word genocide is guilty of sedition, and that's a death sentence. When the first CPC designation was...
Okay, a very, very important one. In that gathering, you have seen everything. Despite the fact that, according to my first publication this morning about the Judas Iscariot, who have been collecting money, begin to sound like a broken gog. That is a knack at Akoka Inyena Wakamoto. Like Ogelemenentiwa, which is really more. Because I will not be surprised, because some people have been saying it that this guy will compromise, knowing fully well that this government of the zoo we are fighting, instead of them to use money to do something meaningful for their people, no, they choose to use that money to bribe other countries' legislative so that they will not intervene in what is happening in their country. You can as well agree with me. Look at the leaders. They said, oh, they have your interests at heart. $150 million. Approximately, let's say 180 to 210 or 215 trillion naira is what we are talking about. According to if you by the exchange rate of today, that is the amount of money we are talking about. The money that is enough, I swear to God, to liberate every Zojurians. They will become millionaires overnight. 210 trillion. Let's say you are okay. Let's say you have population of 210 trillion. Or let's say you have population of 200 trillion, and you begin to share 1 trillion to each person, my brother. All of them will be trillionaires. Not millionaires, not billionaires. All of them will be trillionaires. But they choose to give out that money on frivolities. Because they don't want their people to wake up from their sleeping slumber. They want them to remain perpetually poverty all their lives. I will not take much of your time, because they say time is money. And this message is of 2 different types. One is the one with the new HOD, HOD of IPOB. Another one is with this that our brother by name Alex Babia. You know him, you know his attendant, you know he has been in this Nigeria, he has been in Benue. In fact, his footprint is down there in Benue State, most especially precisely Yewata, those places that have over 200 and something people massacred in one night. So he have a footprint there. He have been rebuilding the houses, the schools, the IDPs, and many more things. So he spoke a lot about what is happening both in that area and also in the area where we came from, which is the Biafra land. And anyway, if I say much now, it be like I'm trying to overshadow what they have said already. Let us just dissect the comment section and then we'll round up, please. Oh God, as and the same Alex Babia was here to comment to Alex Babia. He said, glory be to God that this thing found its way on social media. Abdumajin said, let me pronounce your name in Hausa language. Alex Babara. Last King said, Alex Babia, God bless you. And according to Orisa said, God bless you too. We are definitely waiting on Trump to act so that we, the Christians, populated regions will not be destroyed after Trump regime. Please, now, please. Okay. And according to Aaron's Collins said, divide Nigeria now to save life. Alex, you have really done more than enough for this wonderful movement. Mustafa Magaji, you know them, the cows and the Fulanis. They said, stupid boy. What he call Alex? He said, Alex, not stupid boy. Keina Madine said, Mustafa Magaji terrorists will be definitely angry. Of course, they will be angry because he is working to truncate their mission to Islamize and also conquer Nigeria. According to Mohammed Abdullah Karam Kadi said, you have been wasting your time planning bad things on Nigerian Muslims. We Nigerian Muslims, we don't rely on anything except Allah. Finally, Allah destroy your planning. Allahu Akbar. Gina Ebe said, your analysis are top notch. Well done, oh, my brother. Grace A. Chalom said, Alex Babia, God bless you and protect you. More grace to you and more grace to anyone who believes in everything that you do. So have a nice day, my wonderfully met Biafran brothers and sisters. And I'll go hear my voice again on our next publications. Just make sure that this message, you circulate it, let it go viral. That the new HOD of IPOB is really doing wonders according to the information we just got from here. Because, you know, we work with information and we work with evidence. So the evidence here, I've already shown you. Despite the fact that he didn't speak on this gathering, but at least he's taking records and he is there with men that matters. Who is going to choke mount for this matter of our Biafra recognition, which we await anytime soon. So have a nice day, please, and help me to share this message. Let it go to every nooks and crannies of this country called Zojuria and in diaspora. Kachineke mezuku.